Hey everyone, Noble Absinthe here and welcome back to my Samurai Jack Retrospective. Today we're on episode 8, Jack vs. Mad Jack. Let's get started. We start the episode off in a bar, and like many bars, there's gonna be big dudes and assholes in it. Also, whatever the hell this is supposed to be. Our hero makes his way into the bar and all the patrons have their eyes glued on him. He orders some hot water, and I mean, what else would he drink? Everything else might as well just be poison. We get ourselves our first lucky contestant who was introduced at the start of the episode. At first I honestly thought he was upset at Jack for wanting some hot water. You know, he's a fish or something, but no. Jack has a huge bounty over his head, in Aku's currency called Guguplex.
Who's offering 2 Guguplex for your hand? 2 Guguplex. That's a lot of money.
The whole bar is against Jack. They block the door and all jump him at once. And in a heartbeat, they all get put in their place. Jack couldn't even be fucked to get out of his chair. Jack leaves and we get ourselves my favorite scene in this whole episode.
Samurai Jack! This you? Yeah, look like you.
This guy is like a combination of Karibo and Blue, or Chewbacca in general. He's just awesome. Jack quickly defeats him by giving him a concussion, and we face even more bounty hunters. But as a side note, I really want this guy to make a reappearance because he's just too cool. Jack didn't kill him or anything, so please bring back the furball. We get ourselves another bounty hunter, and this one is from the intro. He puts up a respectable fight and even disarms Jack. But in the end, he gets blown up. So yeah, he didn't last very long. Remember guys, if it's a robot, you can be as violent as you want. Our last trio of bounty hunters are a bear, which Jack kicks in the face, a millipede centipede thing.
Wait a minute. You're an imposter!
And Hunter from Dexter's Lab. I usually don't feel bad for villains getting owned, but I really felt bad for this elephant here. Again, if this wasn't a robot, how messed up would this scene be? Hell, even with it still being a robot, the imagery is still pretty messed up. They all shit bricks and run away, and Jack lets out some of his rage.
Who else wants some?
Aku takes note of Jack's strength and comes up with a plan to beat the samurai. After regaining some composure, our hero takes a step forward. And his sandal breaks. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Jack hurls it at a signpost of himself, and Aku uses the sandal as a medium to create an evil clone of Jack. After some brief introductions where we see that this Jack is clearly an asshole, the two of them face off. To be honest, this fight isn't something to write home about. There are some animation tricks with moving backgrounds, but it's a lot of repetitive animation and sound effects, at least for the beginning part of the fight. It gets a lot better by the end though, with silhouette shots and their sword swings setting the forest ablaze. Both of our Jacks are fueled by rage, and it becomes harder to see which one is the real Jack. And that's the point. We see that their gi has the same coloration because of the contrast set by the fire. From their mad expressions to their wild hair, the two Jacks aren't very different at all by the end of it. The only difference I could note were Mad Jack's eyes, and we get to see him overpower Jack earlier in the fight. The end of the fight has them both in a deadlock struggle with Mad Jack having the upper hand. Jack sees himself in the reflection of his sword and realizes that his anger caused all of this. He puts away his sword, and the flames he created with his anger are soothed away by waves of tranquility. Jack says the fight is over, he subsided his rage, and the doppelganger should no longer exist. Mad Jack charges in for one last attack and fails. Jack banishes him with his peace of mind, and the episode ends with Jack remarking to Aku that these schemes are getting pretty annoying. This episode is really solid. I really like the build-up for Mad Jack's creation because our hero has been doing this for a few months now. Like we saw in the last episode, a full season has occurred, and this series is continuous. So in this episode, his anger gets the better of him. He's sick of being a rat in Aku's maze. The guy can't even get a hot cup of water without having to kill some people, which, now that I think of it, this has to be the first episode where Jack kills an organic being. Yeah, sure, you could pass this one off as them being knocked out cold, but trust me, Jack does kill people in this world. The main highlight of this episode was the fight against Mad Jack. This fight has a lot of good stuff to it, with a lot of it revolving around the motif of fire. Fire is very symbolic of anger and rage, which is the biggest theme of this episode. Anger, just like fire, can end up destroying all in its path, and will eventually become too big for you to handle.
But fire is alive. It breathes, it grows. Without the bender, a rock will not throw itself. But fire will spread and destroy everything in its path if one does not have the will to control it. That is its destiny.
What starts off as small sparks becomes humongous flames. Just like something as simple as a sandal breaking turns into this entire fight. The fight starts off with two Jacks being fairly different from one another, with Mad Jack being a disrespectful palette swap of our hero. But when anger rises, they end up looking nearly identical. By the end of the fight, Mad Jack, who represents anger, is overpowering our hero and was almost his downfall. This might be me reaching for symbolism, but the focus on trees on fire makes me think of Aku. The whole plan of Mad Jack was an idea created by Aku, a literal tree man who is constantly surrounded by fire. By the end of the episode, the entire forest is set ablaze, just like Aku's hideout, and shows that if Jack sinks to his level, to become a creature fueled by rage, he will lose. Our hero isn't perfect, and he can be corrupted, but he will do everything in his power to stay pure and to stay on his mission. Overall, a very solid episode, and par for the course for Samurai Jack. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. As always, you can subscribe to stay tuned on the series. Likes and shares are always appreciated, and I do read every comment. So please tell me your thoughts on the series and how I can improve this channel. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.